ndine update panhau yaNdodana Chuma muri Zimbabwe. So mune family member Yemukadzi iri kutendera mastreets. Pane video ranga vachitaura vachipa maupdate according kunhau iri kutrenda mastreets zvaizvezvizvi yaNdodana Chuma uye kuuraya mukadzi wake kuUK. So hama dzemukadzi tazobuda pachena guys, vazoita video vachitaura pamusoro pezviri kuitika mukati mefamily yavo, kuti zvichokwadi baba namai vakabatikana vari kurwadziwa nezvakaitika muri Zimbabwe. So vanga vachitaura navo vachiti vakamirira kuti kana nhau dzacho dzapera kuUK mabhodha acho azounzwa mukati menyika yeZimbabwe. Ouya kumba kwavo ikoko ndokwavari kuzochemerwa ende ndokwavacharadzikwa, ndozvachitaura hama yacho muri Zimbabwe. And then another video ndinaro futi ndina video raBrett Muvheti achitaura zvanenge achitaura pamusoro pecurrent situation yatinayo mukati menyika yeZimbabwe. So I'm not gonna waste your time guys, because ndichakupai mavhidhiyo acho. Mavhidhiyo ndo achaita the talking yacho yese. Mungozinzwira mimi kana mazvinzwa imi macho mucomment section, kana makomenda section guys. Musakanganwa futi kusubscribe nekuita turn on the notification bell kuti patinoposta uzojamba unobva tongo notify once taposta overcross that zviri kuitika mukati memastreets. I'm out.
I would like to greet all our fellow Zimbabweans and all our friends, relatives, and everybody in Zimbabwe and overseas who has known our daughter Yotaura Kumalo, who was married to the Chumas. Yotaura grew up as a very young lady, very ambitious, and she grew up and she became married and had two daughters, Natalie and Nala, very lovely kids. So my knowledge of Yotaura, though we didn't spend too much time together, was that she was a very loving mother, somebody who was very close to her mother, somebody who was very close to her father. Her very, very best friend was Nkosi Kumalo, Mrs. Mongoni, who is her elder sister. They were born two of them in the family, and they always communicated all the time, and they talked about whatever they needed to talk about in relation to their families. Now her sister has sons, and she had girls as her children. So what has happened in the family with this loss is that Yotaura has gone with all her two girls. So the two girls were lovely girls that Kulu and Koko used to love so much. She has all those two. We will never be able to see them again. The family is totally devastated. We are trying to come to terms with our loss. We are finding it hard to understand what really transpired, and we don't know how we are going to get the closure to this whole episode, but we are praying to the Lord that He helps us, He gives us the strength to pull through this dark period in our lives. The father and the mother, they are totally devastated. We are standing by them all the time, and we are trying to help them. They are advanced in age, and they need everybody's support so that they can pull through this episode where we don't understand what transpired up to today. So we are totally grateful to everybody from around the world who have been around us, who have given us words of consolation and have been praying with us. every day here at home we have prayers all the time. A lot of people from different areas have been coming here to console the family. We pray and hope that we will be able to lay our loved ones to rest once all the preparations have been done. At the moment, I cannot give you a full view of what is going to happen, since the bodies of our loved ones are still in the UK. So once we get further information, we'll be able to know whether they will be released early to us, so that we can start working on the funeral proceedings. But Notabo lived a good life, a clean life, and a life that did not deserve to end this way. So her sister is remaining as the only child of Livingstone and Velile Kumalo. So we will continue to stand with the family through this very difficult time. Yes, that's about all I can say, unless you've got something you want to ask.
About burial arrangements, what is the family planning?
As I said, for the burial arrangements, obviously there is a lot of communication and paperwork that will need to be done, which I am not aware of at the moment, because the strategy caught everybody unaware. So I don't know from a legal and immigration point of view what will need to be done, where it will need to be done, how it will need to be done. But I know the burial arrangements we have just put in place, getting quotations for this service and that service here in Zimbabwe and the UK, but we don't know exactly when everything will, when the bodies will be released by the coroner, and when they will be handed over to a funeral parlor to start preparing the repatriation of the three bodies. If ever is going to happen, the parents or Okulu Lokoko, they are really keen that the remains of their loved ones lie in this country, so that they can have closure of this whole episode. So at the moment, that's what I can say. I am not sure if everything is going to go according to our wishes, but we'll be updating people as time goes on.
Varanda veZimbabwe mamuka seizvenyu. Welcome to part 2 of bullshit that happens in Zimbabwe. Again, I'm going to try and keep this video in English. So, recently our president said that he is increasing his presidential term limit. So, in Zimbabwe, there was supposed to be elections in 2028, which was his second term finalized, which means, according to the constitution, he should step down and a new person is chosen. However, they have manipulated the constitution to state that he has now extended his office to 2030, and he signed it last week. Therefore, elections are null and void in 2028, and we will have possible elections in 2030 unless there are more changes to the constitution. Now, the constitution of Zimbabwe is very clear. If you want to change term limits, two things. Number one, you need a referendum, amongst other processes. And number two, the benefits of extending a term limit cannot apply to the incumbent. In other words, the president that is there when the term limits are extended cannot be the beneficiary of the term limit extension. In other words, he still needs to leave. Now, these have been totally ignored, and the president has done this. They have signed it, it's done. Now imagine breaking the constitution so blatantly and clearly. What makes this situation even funnier is the reason behind them doing it. So him and his Ben 10 stooges have said that they needed to break the constitution, to change it, they call it, we call it breaking, to break the constitution in order for him to continue doing such a wonderful job and needing to see through projects that he has initiated and wants to see them through to completion. Now, if there was such a joke, it would actually be so funny, it would be so sad at the same time. There is no other country possibly on this planet that is badly run or worse run than Zimbabwe. A president who resides over 80% unemployment says that he is doing a good job and wants to extend his limits. A president who presides over a country where over 30 to 35% of the workforce have left the country to go and seek jobs elsewhere. Imagine having 30% of your population leave because the country is so bad and there's no opportunity. Zimbabwe has 40 deaths per 1,000 births because the hospitals and the equipment in there are absolutely obsolete or do not exist at all. We have probably, I think it's the 4th or the 5th worst income per capita in the SADC region. And there's 16 countries. I think we're number 5. Worst per capita income. There is so much, we are classified as one of the worst red tape countries to start a business. All these facts, I could go on and on. The president thinks he's doing a good job. These are facts on the ground. The president disregards all these facts and says that he is doing a good job in Zimbabwe and therefore wanted to extend his term limits. There's also something else that happens in Zimbabwe. It's called the presidential whatever scheme. So the president's got the presidential borehole scheme, the presidential scholar scheme, the presidential this, presidential that. What happens is the president hands out these things to citizens, in effect buying them. Have you ever heard of any other presidents getting to a point where they call people to State House and give them bicycles, gives them cars, gives them money for fuel? That money that is being called the president's money is tax money. There has never been such open and blatant vote buying or bribery in the history of any country as it is in Zimbabwe. The president, through one of his intermediaries, is busy buying every single person of influence in Zimbabwe on social media. He is calling people ranging from celebrities, social media personalities, people who have a lot of following on Facebook and all that stuff, soccer stars, musicians. He is bringing them to State House, giving them and the favorite is Toyota GD6 is the most favorite one, and $50,000 fuel money. That is what the president and his sidekick Zambarafuta is doing between giving people all these things and buying people these things, in an attempt to silence the social media narrative of what Zimbabwe is really like. Well, I'm here to fix that. I'm here to tell you the truth about what happens in Zimbabwe. Now, that is obviously controlling the social media, controlling the narrative. There are people out there who say, look, Zimbabwe is progressing, businesses are being opened, tourist spots are being visited, there's no crime, things like that. Look, I hate to break this to you, but there's even very nice scenic places in Afghanistan. And there's also nice scenic places in Iraq amongst the rubble and the bombs and the killing each other. There's scenic places everywhere throughout the world. The sad part is in Zimbabwe, there's hardly any of the average citizens can see these scenic places or even visit these scenic places because they don't have money just for transportation to get there, never mind the entry fees to it or a hotel stay. So that is the reality. The reality is there are some people actually saying that Zimbabwe is better than South Africa simply because the crime rate is lower. Now, if we were to use that reasoning, that flawed reasoning, we could then say, well, colonialism was better because it didn't have a lot of crime there either. But it also fed more people. It also had a better standard of living for most people, even though the laws were absolutely horrendous against black people. But let's just ignore that because it was peaceful. Is that the reasoning you are saying we must keep the regime in power in Zimbabwe? Because that's flawed. You see, we now have a situation where we've got the planned protest for the 31st being called off because people want peace. People don't want confrontation. Now, let me just try and ask everyone who's listening, what kind of peace would you experience whilst starving? What kind of peace do you experience if your wife dies while giving birth because there's no medical supplies?